virality can't be manufactured and it's more luck than skill.
Oh, interesting. Virality cannot be manufactured. I disagree fully.
Hey, welcome back. Episode 001 of the Business of Talent podcast, where we break down the different trends and developments across talent, media, entertainment, and the creator economy that are redefining how businesses are built and scaled. It is good to be back. Jordan, how you doing today?
I'm doing real good, man. But, most importantly, I'm excited to be talking shop with my friend Sam. Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, everybody. Really, really excited to continue to record this podcast and to rebuild our community from the ground up again.
Let's get it. Well, today we have some news as well as a really special guest. That special guest is Caleb Simpson. You may be familiar with Caleb by way of his viral series. He's kind of been heralded as the apartment guy on the social media platform of your choice, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Super grateful to have Caleb on the show. He's built an audience of over 11 million followers across YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. He's had content collaborations with people like Barbara Corcoran, Quavo, Ryan Serhant, Jared Leto. And what's really special about this one is Caleb. We actually had the opportunity to work with Caleb because he actually worked with me at both Knox Media as well as NFT Now. So he has kind of experience working on the marketing side, helping market emerging and established talent, different musicians, different brands with Knox. With NFT Now, he has experience in building a media publication. And then throughout it all, he was always working and testing with his own content, and is now at the point where he's actually a very, very prominent content creator. So it's really interesting to get his perspective, not only as somebody that's an incredible creator, but also somebody that has experience building communities within media brands, as well as marketing other individual talent brands, business brands. So really, really fascinating conversation around growing an audience, coming up with different content ideas, different growth hacks. Everybody always wants the silver bullet. I don't know if we can promise you that, but we got some fundamentals, tried and true fundamentals. But really excited to get into that. Before we jump into that, we do really want to. We got some fun news bits. A lot has happened in the past week. Jordan, what's on your mind?
Yeah, what a week. To talk about news. Just so you know, we're recording this on Monday, January 27th. TikTok was banned about a week ago, a little bit over a week ago, and in response, there's been some players in the content creation industry that have tried to get content creators from TikTok to their services and platforms. So Instagram is one of them. They're offering a substantial cash bonus to creators with reported amounts ranging from $10,000 to $50,000 per month to post reels on their platform first before sharing elsewhere. Meta has also introduced the Breakthrough Bonus Program, which allows creators to earn up to $5,000 over a 90-day period by sharing at least 20 reels on Facebook and 10 reels on Instagram each month. Substack is also a player in the game who launched a $20 million creator accelerator fund to attract content creators, including those from TikTok, by providing revenue guarantees, strategic support, and early feature access. And obviously, these all come at a time of uncertainty for TikTok. So my first question to you is, what is the sustainability of these incentive programs? Sam, what's your opinion on them, and will they last? And what are kind of your direct and first opinions on what's happening?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really fascinating. And even if you take TikTok out of the equation, I totally see the incentive. I think where attention goes, advertisers follow. These big media brands and tech platforms realize that they're just as good as the audience. They're only as good as the audience of the creators that are active on their platform. So being able to make sure that they have good incentives is critical to having creators continue to drive and nurture and build audience on their respective platforms. I think there's a really interesting competitive force that happens as a result, because I think you now have these kind of creator-driven businesses where it's like whoever can create the best terms for the creator is the platform that wins, right? A lot of creators love flocking to YouTube
I'm gonna push back on that. Actually, I actually think that whoever has the best product wins. I think a lot of these services and platforms, they give really big incentives, and then they can't keep the creators when the incentives are over, because the product at the end of the day will need to be something that keeps the creator. And at the end of the day, it's all dollars and cents, it's all profit, it's all revenue. So if I'm paying a ton of money for a creator to show up, and yes, I'm getting more ad revenue, but then they leave at the end of their deal and they take their community with them, what's more important, that short-term gain and that short-term audience, or the long-term gain of having a creator that actually loves the product? So that's hopefully the beginning of a longer tail for creators. So yes, the terms are obviously very, very important. But when you think about it as a business and as a product, that's eventually what's going to have to keep the creator there, in my opinion, and keep their audience there too.
Yeah, I like it. And just to clarify, when I say that there's competition for platforms to create the best environment for creators, it goes far beyond just the cash incentives with programs like these. It goes into the actual user experience of the product. I think a lot of the reason why TikTok was so attractive for so long was because it actually made it easier relative to other platforms to build audiences when you were starting from scratch, right? I think the kind of the For You page, the shift away from what kind of Gary Vee has been dubbing interest-based media over social media, where if you create great content that's going to resonate with a certain interest group, you're likely to get a lot of views versus just relying upon the distribution of the followers you built, like was a big
really
draw
interesting
of the product that created such a draw to TikTok, right? I think even when you look at some of these different incentive programs, like I think it's interesting. I mean, I love Substack as a platform too, because I think social media, you still largely are at the mercy of the platform. Like obviously being able to have direct access to your audience is the holy grail, not being at the mercy of the algorithm. There's been instances in which your audience is here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, TikTok is that case in point. Chances are that nobody's going to take away your email list, even though that's quote unquote one of the most old school, archaic kind of mediums of marketing. It's also one of the ones where you're really able to kind of cut through in theory and not be at the mercy of any of these platforms. I mean, you can even contrast that within Instagram, like the percentage of your followers that you reach on your average posts, probably like 5 to 10%, where a well-engaged newsletter can get 40 to 50% plus open rates, right? Like that's night and day. We're talking 10x.
That raises a really good point, which is that this could work, but not for everybody and for not every business model. So Substack is a place where you and I have spoken in the past where there's what we call underpriced attention, where people can get a lot out of a little, where the 20% can provide the revenue for the 80% on every other service and platform. Them paying $20 million for a creator accelerator fund might make sense given their business model and given the product that it is. It doesn't necessarily make sense for everyone because if you do, you're right. If you have that email list, there's direct to consumer consumption and it's not based off of an algorithm. That's something that, maybe I need some startup costs, but once I have them, they're going to be there. I'm not going to get rid of them. And then I think that speaks to subscription models in general, but especially emailing lists.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think the last thing I'll say here before we jump on to the next one is, I mean, this also makes sense from like Substack with their creator fund, and then even Beehive, which is another very kind of some similarities within the platform, very kind of newsletter oriented. They have a suite of tools that make it very easy to build and send newsletters and help grow your audience, help monetize your audience. They started the Beehive Media Collective, which is a multi-million-dollar investment, likely to have somewhat similarly structured deals. They also provide different benefits, health insurance, accounting support to different journalists that they're trying to recruit to their platform. The last thing I'll kind of say on this general topic too is, especially when it comes to like journalists, email newsletters, kind of, you have a lot of people and you're kind of seeing to some extent a little bit of an exodus away from more traditional media publications because a lot of these people that historically may have been reliant on New York Times in order to access and reach an audience can just build that audience on their own. And as Substack and Beehive are able to have these funds that can offset some of the risk up front, such that they don't have to kind of leave their job and start from scratch trying to build the income and their livelihood on a newsletter, this is able to help kind of bring down some of that risk that in theory is just going to help bring over new talent to the platform that are kind of seasoned, very well experienced, knowledgeable, incredible, different writers and journalists. So I think this is great to see when it comes to the maturity and that kind of the process of maturing this more democratized model of media by way of having these programs to bring people that might be a bit more reliant on traditional models of media and distribution into this new guard.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Couldn't have said it better myself. And another thing that's interesting is usually people have these incentives when they're in some sort of growth period, which is why it makes sense that Beehive would do it because it's a company that hasn't been around for a while. Clearly, people think that TikTok not being around anymore, people at Meta, Instagram, Substack, these reputable companies, think they're in another growth period, which is really interesting. Next one, 2024 was the year of the influencer political takeover, one that I'm really excited to talk about. In 2024, content creators played a pivotal role in the political landscape. merging election news commentary with online entertainment. Influencers endorse politicians bypassing traditional media to connect directly with voters. Notably, figures like Joe Biden and Donald Trump utilize social media platforms, collaborating with popular online personalities to reach younger demographics. An interesting stat about that: a Pew Research Center study found that 1 in 5 Americans, including 37% of adults under 30, regularly obtain news from influencers on social media platforms. I can tell you personally, anecdotally, some of my friends were afraid that they'd be out of the loop in news if TikTok got banned, which is a really, really interesting way to think about the service. It wasn't entertainment. It was, how am I going to stay up on my news? So my question to you, Sam, is what are the potential benefits and drawbacks of influencers participating in political campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really interesting, this shifts away from traditional media towards more democratized formats of media like podcasts is very much the impetus for this kind of whole show, right? Is just,
Yeah,
you have this kind of rewriting the rules of distribution. It's arguably more important to go on a podcast tour than it is on like a traditional television media tour, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a hot take, but I mean, undoubtedly is
Keep 'em
critical.
coming, bro.
Yeah. With that said, I think, the benefits and drawbacks. Benefits, I think, with democratization of media comes an ability for more democratized perspectives of the people, rather than it necessarily being as governed by a large body. I think that is both a blessing and a curse, because I think when you do get within these larger editorial news organizations, we would like to hope that they have different levels of editorial integrity and standards of fact-checking, then you don't necessarily have that when it's just up to an influencer to say whatever they want to say. I mean, I know even platforms like X have really been leaning a lot into the whole kind of community news and community notes and being able to help commentate that. So I do think at times there's a bit of a risk as influencers gain more distribution, but at the same time too, can you really trust like mainstream traditional media either? Not necessarily, right? So it's, I'm definitely kind of pro this shift. I think we're only going to see this continue to occur. And I think it's really amazing that creators who may have been looked down upon are now at this point of having the credibility of things as important as the presidential election when it comes to kind of legit checking the severity and importance of making kind of pit stops in the press run across those different publications.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's endorsement of Donald Trump mattered. The night before the election, that mattered. A traditionally memeified podcast mattered in a presidential election. It's interesting to think about what comes first, the chicken or the egg. And I mean that as in voter perceptions. If I'm listening to Joe Rogan because he endorses Donald Trump, do I vote for Donald Trump? Or because I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, was I already very likely to listen to Donald Trump and to like Donald Trump? You know what I mean? Like, how much are these places influencing people to vote differently? Or is it just the natural place where people congregate in the first place? And him doing that was already a reflection of his audience and their interests. And I wonder if he even knows the answer to that, you know? I think with any political endorsement comes risk. This was probably the most I saw celebrities endorse a presidential candidate on both sides. We usually see it from musicians and actors and other politicians, but this time we actually saw it from celebrities and that are specifically influencers, which I thought was really interesting because normally influencers stay out of it. They are trying to cater to their audience's niches and not necessarily their political aspirations or where they lie between Democrat and Republican, and that was not the case this time. You saw a lot of people endorsing people. One of the things I do like about this format is that because the candidates are coming to the podcast host and it's their platform, the podcast host can be really direct about what they ask their candidates. I'll give you an example. Charlemagne the God gave a lot of flack to Kamala Harris, but was asking a lot of questions that I think would be relevant for her audience in deciding if they should vote for her or not, or Trump voters, you know. It'd be interesting to see more of that and a little bit farther away from Joe Rogan not asking Donald Trump any questions of importance during their interview, you know. But it's a risk, but it'll be really interesting to see what direction people decide to go with. And I think that audiences in particular are begging for, who do you believe in? Not just, I like watching the cats on your Facebook page, you know?
Yeah, totally. No, crazy time, but I think very interesting nonetheless. Well, on that note, we are very excited to have a very special guest, Caleb Simpson. This man's also super humble. We literally interviewed him the day before a massive New York Times spread appeared, and he didn't even mention it. I don't know if that was embargo, but kind of given some of our off-the-record chats, I chalk that up to his humility. So it's incredible stand-up guy, incredible content creator, understands the ins and outs of creating viral content. So without any further ado, thanks for tuning in, but let's get into the episode and conversation with Caleb Simpson. Caleb, what's happening, brother? Welcome to the show.
What up, Sam?
Chilling. Mean mugs.
How you guys feeling?
No,
He's
feeling good,
staring
man.
at each other.
Very excited. Personally excited about this, as I know we've had an opportunity to work with each other a couple times, and be able to have you on the show is gonna be fun, man. I guess for starters, can you just talk us a bit in a nutshell from tennis trainer into social media sensation? What were some of the?
He didn't even, I don't even think he wants you to say he was a tennis trainer. You don't put him on
No.
blast.
We're going into the archives, right?
We're going
the side of
deep in
Caleb
the
that most
archives.
people don't know about.
Yeah, totally. Well, I moved to New York and I was teaching tennis. I was a tennis pro and managed a tennis club. And that's kind of the time where I was like, I didn't know anybody. I always wanted to make videos. So I was just filming stuff on my cell phone. And just to fast forward that was like 3 years of me kind of like filming stuff on my cell phone, running around New York, taking pictures, making videos.
And you were posting these publicly?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I would just make them and I would go home and I would like go through Adobe Premiere Pro and like try to learn one editing trick.
Damn, man.
A day. So
Very
I just
driven
like,
from the jump. That's crazy.
Yeah,
You doing
just-
it by yourself?
yeah, by myself.
Damn, nice.
Yeah, and I would just follow people online. Like Gary Vee was a big one where he's like, just DM everybody. Just DM everybody. Now it's to work for free. And I was like, okay, like I guess he said to do it, so that's what I'm gonna do. That's actually how I met Sam and Matt Ligotti. It was through just like Sam or Matt posting an Instagram story and me responding to it. That's how we started working together. Yeah, so gosh. Yeah, so the tennis pro teaching, I mean, honestly, that era of my life was the most important part because I needed time to like really learn and like develop some skills, even though it took almost 3 years for me to quit my job to like start freelancing and pursuing it.
Some people can never do that though. So
What, just like quit and start trying?
some people try for a very long time and never able to do it. So that's still good, you know.
True. Yeah, I did not feel ready at all at that point. Honestly, I've never felt ready.
I was about to say, when do you?
Yeah, totally. I don't even feel ready now.
I feel ready for what it's worth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just popped out the boom ready. Yeah.
War ready.
Yeah. So then I left and I started working with this wannabe travel influencer that I found on Craigslist. I just like sent him my little reel I made and he thought it was cool. So I like quit my job, flew to Dubai with him. It was like the first time I met him. Just like flew to Dubai.
No way, bro.
Spent a week there filming. He's like, that was cool. He's like, quit your job, come work for me. So I just like started doing that. And then that was like 3 or 4 months. And I the vibes weren't right. So I just quit. And then that's pretty much when we started working together at Knox Media.
Yeah.
Right then. And then we worked together for a while for, I don't even know how long, 2 years?
Yeah, something like that.
2 years. Then TikTok came around. I was like, I'm making TikTok videos. During all this too, I was making my own content and like working with Instagrammers and YouTubers for free pretty much. I was like, they're going viral. Like I'll learn stuff from them probably.
And this was using the DM everybody approach.
DM everybody or just people who were in New York that I saw were like popping off. I was like, let me just like go make videos for them and then I'll learn. And then I would apply it to like clients that we were working with. I was like out trialing things and then applying it to clients, which was kind of fun. Yeah, then what happened from there? Really, TikTok rolled around. TikTok changed my life. Yeah, TikTok changed my life. And that's been like a whirlwind of a ton of different things I've made on there. Coming to the apartment tour series, which is like, how much you pay for rent in New York? Can I have a tour of your home? And that's sort of like MTV Cribs sort of remake.
Yeah, no, and it was super sick to see that blow up the way it did. No, it was definitely one of those instances too where A, you'd already built significant like audience prior to that point. But then to get a format like that was just taking off consistently the way it did is just also like a testament to consistency in this game. And I think for our listeners, gotta just highlight the fact that it wasn't necessarily like one video blew you up completely per se, but you were continuing to test even when you had these other jobs. You were able to be consistent upon your own personal stuff
and value and experience too.
Yeah.
Like really putting a premium on just experience itself.
Totally. And I mean, the consistency part when I was working other jobs was hard. I will say that, but it had like ups and downs where I would like make stuff and then kind of fall off, and then make more stuff, then kind of fall off. But as you say, like landing on like a format, I've always kind of been indifferent about what that means or what that I feel emotionally towards having a format, or you created this format. And then, sometimes I wish that I didn't have the format so I could play and expand in other ways.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'm so grateful because like everybody knows what it is. Like brands can plug and play whatever product they want and they get it. And I don't have to think. I can just go and be like, this is exactly what I do. You understand it. I don't need to do anything else, which is like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm curious too, man, because I know when we worked together, Knox, you're focused on a lot of like content strategy and content production for musicians, whether it was Black Coffee, Blondish. It was still very much kind of building the communities and content for other talent. With NFT now, it was more around the kind of publication, right? Trying to like nurture a community that was interested in NFTs and that sort of stuff. And then there was you as a creator. I'm curious what you learned while operating in a marketing agency and like media publication capacity that like helped you as a creator. And then even curious kind of vice versa, like with your time as a creator, how did that help you as a marketer and as somebody that was building the audience around a publication?
And was it intentional too, is a question that I have as a follow-up. Like when, as you were learning, was all that intentional?
It was not intentional at all. Which it seems almost genius when you like play it back and look at the history of it. It's like, yeah, creator, go work in the music industry, like help people go viral, work on your stuff again. Then like go help build NFT now and like run all the media. Can you get people excited about NFTs? Apply your knowledge. But it was more of just like, dude, I need money. Like I need a job. This excites me right now. Let me go that direction and see what I learned from it. I knew I'd learn a ton. So to kind of go back, like when we worked at Knox together, when we were making videos for artists and DJs and stuff, this was before short form media was even a thing. So we noticed like offhand, we would call them espresso clips, which were just like these raw moments people loved watching on Instagram. For some reason, those would go viral.
It started with Black Coffee too. If we deconstruct the name, Black Coffee had the espressos.
So y'all was being a little poetic.
Yeah, totally. So I just found that interesting because we would like be able to test things out on these bigger accounts with bigger artists, and some of them would be willing to experiment more than others. So we'd always be throwing ideas at them, and most of them were like a no. And that kind of sucks because we would always get really excited about some of these ideas. Then they're like, no, that's not my brand. That's not who I am.
Still fighting that good fight.
Yeah.
That's not who I am.
Totally. But specifically in the music industry, it felt like learning a lot of processes, like coming up with a ton of ideas, testing things out, and then seeing what worked. And then you got to see those results kind of right in front of you. So you kind of take those pieces of information and then can apply it to yourself. And then also you get to see how much money they make. You're like, oh, damn, like you have 300,000 followers. So you can like charge $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 more for your DJ set. Like this makes no sense to me. Like what if I had those followers? You know what I'm saying? So seeing that stuff.
Plotting,
like the more really behind the scenes stuff is interesting to observe.
And you're helping them do that. You're helping them get to the place where they can charge that. And you're like, I could also just help myself and do that.
Totally. So those were like realizations I guess I was having in those moments. I feel like you want to ask a question, Sam.
No.
Oh, okay. In those moments. And it just taught me like how to stay consistent. I had to make stuff for other clients and not just myself, or I wouldn't get paid, or you guys would get pissed off at me. So
no, we never got pissed off at kids.
No, that's never happened. No. And just like showing up and having to be consistent for somebody else instead of myself. And like,
did that teach you how to be consistent for yourself though?
A lot, yeah. Because you have to like make all this content for everybody else and come up with new ideas and just be like dropped down in these situations where it's like, you got 20 minutes. Here's 10 ideas. There's all these distractions. Make this person go viral in these 20 minutes. And that's like all you got. And you're like, okay, I need to have my strategy ready. I need to have like how I'm going to shoot this ready. I need to not get nervous and distracted. So all that stuff has helped me with like big brand sponsorships like I've done now, like where I did a sponsorship with Nissan, with Tim Tebow, with the Heisman House. And they just dropped me down in the middle of like their commercial shooting. There's like 400 people running around. They're like, okay, everybody be quiet. You got 3 minutes. It's like, here's Tim Tebow and 400 people watching you. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, I better know what I'm doing.
3 minutes.
Yeah, totally. It's like, you have this one set and area. Can you film this set and area without everybody realizing that you're on a set? So being thrown into those situations working at Knox, like totally one of one applies to what I have to do now, which is like in the content creation world with brands, that's what they throw at you a lot. And then moving to working at NFT now, that was like a huge help for me because it was like a true startup where first hire there was like, here's systems going into place. You need to follow all these things. You need to learn a whole new industry because I didn't know anything about crypto or NFTs. I didn't know shit. And then
you said that in the interview.
Yeah,
he was like, bro, I don't know shit.
Yeah, I did. I
did. Help you do viral content. But I know
viral content. And then and it was
You're
just
hired.
Yeah.
This man's honest.
Totally. But that thing was just like a growing organism. Every day it was changing and evolving and hiring new people, and it was always changing like so fast. And it was like learn, adapt, and grow with it, and like fall in line, meet these demands of this company, or you're gonna get fired. You know, like
that's how you run that shit.
Like a real like a startup. I mean, that's kind of what it is. Like a startup environment is like it's intense. It's intense a lot, and like everybody's kind of trying to figure it out together. And there's like this tense sort of like wild energy, and just like going through that for a year definitely made me, and being able to observe you guys who founded the company was probably the biggest help because it was like you guys had your heads on straight more than I did. I wasn't ready to like find anything shit. So just being able to observe and ask questions and try to survive in that environment helped prepare me so much for like when I went viral, because I was like, oh, I need to put these pieces in play, and emotionally I knew how I was gonna feel.
You got a little Sam on your shoulder.
Yeah, totally.
After you got viral,
like emotionally, I think that's the biggest part, because you're like you're doing 30 different things, and you're like, wait, is this how it's supposed to be? How is it supposed to feel?
Yeah.
You know.
Question. I got. We have a list of questions, but I have a kind of follow-up question for what you just said. When you start working with brands, how do you know what opportunity makes sense and what doesn't? And I'm asking for 2 reasons. One, for people that may be listening that may want to work with brands themselves, but also so brands know how to cater to creators better. So like, at what point did you start entertaining brands, and how did you evaluate if it made sense?
Well, I mean, at the beginning, it was just like anyone who would give me money. I was like, yo, let's do it. Like my first brand sponsorship was with Bang Energy when they first went on TikTok. And that brand sponsorship didn't make any sense. Like it was so hard for me to integrate it. Now I break it down is I want it to be, if it can fit in my format of this home tour. So if there's a tour or something to do with a celebrity and we can seamlessly plug in a product, then it makes complete sense. A lot of brands now, they'll still reach out and like try to be like, come, I don't know, tour our box that looks like this and have somebody in there and like talk about the product. And I'm like, this is so boring. Like no one wants to watch this, and I don't want to put my audience through that also, even if you want to pay me a lot of money. So I just say no to that stuff. Basically I want to be able to seamlessly integrate the product into the video the best I can. And if I look at the product and the brand and I think, oh yeah, I can do that, then I'll do it.
A lot of gut feeling involved.
Yeah, totally. Otherwise it just feels like a cash grab. And then also the way I look at it is, if I make a bad video with a brand like that, other brands will pitch me bad video ideas. And then they'll be like, well, we saw this, like, let's make something like that. And I'm like, no, that wasn't good. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And in that vein too, I mean, there's having a filter like that is going to help ensure that there is just like stronger organic performance on brand integrations. I'm curious how else you go about ensuring that you're delivering like a really strong ROI. Like I know sometimes influencer marketing can be a bit amorphous when it comes to really measuring success and impact. I'm curious, like, I mean, as you continue to work with brand partners on bigger and bigger levels, it's really important to you. You want to do a good job. You want them to refer you. You want them to bring you back on. What within your approach are you focusing on in order to maximize that impact?
It's a good ass question.
That's
bro.
a really good question. To maximize the impact, I really want to be able to make the video almost in my words. So I don't want them to come in and like, I don't know, add in too much brand lingo. That's only happened one time, like in the past 2 years, where there was so much brand lingo, the video didn't perform that well.
Yeah.
But for me, a benchmark is like, I want the video to hit 1 million views. Like number one. And it really just depends on what the brand wants from it.
Right.
I mean, the one video that didn't perform that well, there was so much just like brand stuff they wanted to put in. And then I was like, okay, to make up for that, a lot of brands want you to post on like Instagram or TikTok, depending on how you figure out the contract with them. But I was like, okay, I'll post this video on every single one of my platforms and post it on my stories just to get those extra views to get it up, because I'm like, my bad, it didn't perform that well. So there's part of that where it's just like I have these own metrics of I want it to hit 1 million views over a certain amount of time too, like within the first 3 days, ideally.
Is this total or is this on one platform?
Just on one platform.
Okay.
Just on one platform. But really, I'm trying to figure out what the metrics are for these brands too, because I know creators have way less followers and get way less views than me, who will get like 50 racks for something that got like 20,000 views.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is the brand looking at me like I'm a god, or are they looking at me like this is standard? And I just kind of don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm just like, as long as it lives within the realm of like what my average is online, then I'm satisfied with providing that to the brand.
Yeah. Makes sense. And are the deals you're getting, like how much of it is kind of just like inbound versus you proactively trying to drum up? And just, if you take it a step further, what is kind of like the team structure around you look like to bring and close high quality brand deals?
For sure. That's a great question. I'll say right now, everything we did on the brand side was inbound this year.
Nice. Oh yeah. Cheers to that, bro.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
You're not supposed to
Actually,
choose
boom,
water,
boom.
but
Boom, boom.
we'll do it.
Well, he got the
he got
coffee, so it's not the water.
Yeah.
Not water on water.
But it's an interesting conversation to have, because there is like this idea of all this money that's left on the table if you're not like kind of being a savage and going out and claiming the brand dollars in a way. So that is something I'm going to integrate more next year, because I'm like, oh, we might have been able to do like 3 or 4x more.
Right.
If we were just like being savages and like out there, like let's connect the dots before they connect the dots, and let's like claim this marketing dollars before some other influencer does, which is so true. But I am grateful that a lot of brands have just reached out, and big brands. Like I did a Skittles partnership this year where we gave away an apartment for a year. And they just
my God,
they just connected the dots because they
How
were
you
doing
not
it.
even gonna hit me up when you do that? No, I'm kidding. Yo, ain't gonna hit
It was
me
on
up, bro.
TikTok. It was on TikTok.
Yo, I'm kidding.
Sweepstakes, baby. But I do think if you're a smaller creator, you need to be reaching out. Like if you have, if a manager is saying I will deal with whatever is inbound, you're not going to get shit. You're not going to make any money. Like you need somebody out there like fighting for you, or you need to be fighting for yourself.
So it sounds like you have a lot of inertia now, because a lot of everything you said the past year was inbound. At what point do you decide to extend your brand to like a business, whether that's, you know, whatever you feel like is an appropriate extension of your brand? Like obviously a really corny one would be some sort of street easy app where you help people find apartments and you personally curate them. Like at what point do you turn this brand that you have from I'm going to promote Skittles and promote all these other places to promote something that I'm building for myself? And how do you decide what to build? If you've thought about that yet, I'm sure you have, but
yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, that is the question, right? It's like, when do you decide? What do you want to build? What excites you? And what do you have the capacity for? I think that's the biggest thing for me. I've spent 2 years of doing the home tour series. And right now I'm starting to feel like, oh, I've got control of it. Like I understand kind of like the ins and outs of it. Understand how much effort and time it takes to do it. The industry is kind of caught on a little bit. I have just a little bit more things in place, so I feel like I can stretch a little bit more to come up with those ideas of like, what kind of business do I want to make? And I don't know what that is at the moment. I've toyed around with ideas of like, okay, maybe it's like a seamless integration with Street Easy or Zillow, and like I just go that route, and it's like they become my number one sponsor, and we just work together seamlessly for the next 10 years. Or is it like you go build one of those apps, and you're like, I'm going to become that app? Or is it like you start doing TV shows on HGTV, and then you become like this home reno business, and you're like, I'm going to start building a huge brand in that direction. And it's really deciding on, I don't know, I guess what excites you the most, because you know it's going to take like a bajillion years to do.
Right.
But for me right now, it's just like I want to stretch how many dollars I can make on the brand side first, because I don't think I stretched it as far as I can. I want to reach.
Stretch that motherfucker.
Yeah.
How do you know when you have stretched it though? Like, how do you know when you've hit that and like, all right, maybe we should think about doing something else? Hopefully there's no down, because hopefully it never goes down and then you're like, all right, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Hopefully you've decided to do it while you're winning. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. Decide to do it while you're winning. I don't know. I mean, I've talked with creators, and I look at some of the lists, you know, and then I'm just like, well, how much did you make from brand sponsorships this year? And they're like, wow, we did 7 million. And it's like, oh shit. Okay. Well,
I get 7 million.
I didn't make 7 million this year. So
I'm 3 times as big as you, bro.
yeah. Or I'm really not though. I'm really not. But it's like, okay.
Two times.
He covered himself. I'm not though.
I'm not.
Who are you talking about? What are you talking about specifically right now? No, but
Yeah. Yeah. So in my head, I think I'm like, okay, that's a North Star. Where's their brand at? What's their brand equity over mine? Like, are they really that more well known than me? Is that what the key factor is? Is it because they have better connections? I don't know. But I'm like, damn, if I could go make like a couple more $1 million or $5 more million next year, why would I go try to just like build this business on the back end right now?
Yeah.
In this very moment.
But what if people keep going though? What if people are like, I made 7 million, you make 7 million, and then it's 9 million, and then I can make 9 million, and then it's 15 million, you know?
Well, maybe that's just the endless race that we just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think content and social media will just keep evolving and getting better and better. And the ads, I mean, if you look at Hot Ones or something, they did launch the hot sauces and all that, but with their brand sponsorships and the amount of views and just like Chicken Shop, like they're making so much money just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, for sure. Want to shift a little bit and talk a little bit through just kind of like audience development, platform strategy, whether this is for people that are trying to become a creator themselves or different brand marketers, anybody that's touching and kind of leveraging content marketing is trying to like build audiences and often has to determine what platforms they want to put their focus on. It's obviously never like one size fits all. Certain kind of personas of communities that you're trying to build will probably congregate around different platforms. I'm curious from like your perspective, like what would you consider to be the most important platforms? And what do you like, we'll start there and then I got to follow on. So
what do I consider the most important platforms? I think it depends on your goals. One, if you're trying to just make money from AdSense, that's like an important question. Like Facebook's great because no one's really making videos on Facebook, and you can make a couple $100,000 a year just like posting videos on Facebook. YouTube, obviously. Instagram, you don't make any money from, but a lot of brand sponsorships go there. TikTok, you don't really make that much money from the creator fund, but brand sponsorships are going there as well. So from that perspective, it's like, are you trying to get brand sponsorships or are you trying to get ad revenue from the platforms? As far as like audience goes, TikTok's the youngest one. So it's like, okay, you can go play over there and like start getting a younger audience. Yeah. And it's like, what kind of business you're trying to build off the back of it. But I would probably say TikTok and Instagram, just because they're fighting for this space so much. That's where most people play. There's a lot of people on YouTube Shorts, but I've noticed like it's really hard to cultivate like I don't know, like this tight niche community on YouTube Shorts specifically. And you becoming a YouTuber is still much harder than becoming a TikToker or Instagrammer.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then I'd be curious too, because I feel like TikTok, it's great, relatively speaking, like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, like between Reels and TikToks and YouTube Shorts, it's like, quote unquote, it's never really been easier, put it like air quotes, to go viral. With that said, like I was having a chat with a friend that runs a big YouTube channel and podcast, and it's like, like you'll get or even like Tim Ferriss, I think, was talking about this. He'll have like a short that gets like 1 million views that leads to like no blip, like almost insignificant increase on actual consumption on like the full podcast or full YouTube video. I'm curious how you really ensure that it's like you're building community, you're building an engaged audience versus just like the slot machine of like views.
Yeah, we back, bro. We out here, yo. Sam was killing with these questions, bro.
Yeah.
I ain't that wasn't on this sheet. Like,
You got
damn, that shit
freestyle.
The
hard.
slot machine of
That shit
views.
hard.
Well, I think if you can figure out the slot machine of views, you can make a
That's true.
ton of money. Like,
Yeah.
I know a guy that I made a video with this year that made $1 million just on shorts.
Oh my god.
Because like he's that viral. And he made like 1 year, he made like $5 million just on Facebook. But that is like, he's the king. Like he knows how to go viral. Like straight up 100 million views like a video.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Most people aren't going to figure that out. So like fostering a community is probably more important, or like the wiser choice. Well, I think for the YouTube Shorts example, like having a strong hook in whatever the video is, like he does a podcast, like mine's a home tour.
Right.
So I can give more of that short form video
Totally.
of what people want to see. Which is when Shorts launched, it actually was like a huge light bulb moment for me, because it's like, whoa, I can like really make these shorter versions of this bigger home tour that people will go look at if they're curious in this home.
Yeah.
Like it's guaranteed they'll go look, because it's like, that's what it is. So that's how I would try to create it. It's like test out the idea, and hopefully you're making a shorter form video that plugs into the longer form one.
Yeah.
Much more. But like a 4-hour podcast, like of course you're just gonna watch like one little clip and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I just look at the shorts as honestly just like an extra way for people to remember, like, oh yeah, Tim Ferriss is there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tim Ferriss is there. You know?
Right. And one other thing too, I think we had a conversation maybe almost like a year ago at this point, but you're at a point where you were like, now rather than just like shooting on your cell phone and doing everything, like you were bringing in different editors, different shooters, and you told me that you would still edit the like 60-second short forms. Like you'd kind of have if I'm not mistaken, you have the team handle some of the YouTube, but you didn't, it was so important to you because you had built such a strong intuitive sense of the flow and the editing optimizations that were really going to be the difference of a video flopping or a video getting millions of views. What are some of the things you're so intentional about? And I don't know whether or not you're still doing all the editing. Like what are some of the things that you need to make sure are like present from a pacing or from a hook perspective that's really helping contribute towards the visibility these videos are getting?
Yeah, that is true. I am still doing all the short form video
You
editing.
can still do it.
Yeah.
Some things you can't outsource, bro.
Yeah.
That is part of the sauce. That is
Yeah,
the biggest ingredient right here. Bro.
Yeah.
It is the secret ingredient, because I'll have like, I don't want to say who they are because I don't want to give them a shout out, but a brand reached out the other day and was like, hey, we saw you create a video like this. Can you come and do it? And then they didn't want to really pay much money. Then they tried to just remake it, and it
And
was,
then they didn't get a shout out on the Business of Talent podcast as a result.
they didn't get a shout out, but it was edited so poorly. It was like the concept was there, but they just missed it completely. And it's like, dude, there was nothing. Well, one, like the hook is always like, how much you pay for rent? What's the most, can I have a tour of your home? But even that, I will do a couple takes of, and then I'll just see how it makes me feel when I watch it.
Right.
I'm like, does this feel fake? Does this feel like too long of an intro? Did I get enough information? Do I just want to get into it now? Am I bored?
Right.
Like these are questions I'm asking myself when I'm watching the video, when I'm editing it. And then I'm always looking for like up to 3 points of humor. I'm looking for, in the very beginning, I'm looking for something that grabs the audience attention even more to make them want to watch the video. So for example, if I'm going into a home and they only have like one big large space that's beautiful, I'm like, I always lead with that instead of showing like a tiny small object, like I don't know, this plant over here on this shelf.
What you trying to say about our plant, Caleb?
Trying to say it looks like shit.
My mom gave me that, bro.
All right, thanks for coming through, Caleb. It's been great talking with you.
Over the table. I hate that.
Yeah, so I'm just like, am I bored or am I intrigued? Do I want to see more of this or do I not want to see more of this? And when does it end? That's the biggest thing. I'm like, did I get all the value or information from this piece? And is it just like being prolonged to be prolonged because I have more content.
Right.
And I'm like, did we get all the information? Oh, and I always love including people's like backgrounds or stories, like where they're from. If they're from another country, that's always great. I always try to include that because everyone rallies behind them. Like, oh yeah, this person's from, I don't know, Prague, and they're making it in New York. This is sick. Like, I'm from here. Yeah, go, go, go.
Yeah.
So there are these like key themes that people will support a lot. So I try to look for those also. Just to like
There's a lot of strategy.
put into the video.
You put me on game.
Yeah.
This is dope.
Yeah, and you read that's why you read the comments also, because you start finding themes in the comments of what people support or dislike. Then that's like key. You're like, okay, people rally behind this certain key thing, so let's try to always include those in the videos if we can. Yeah.
Damn. Do you ever and I know we're running out of time, but do you ever branding obviously is a big part of revenue. Is it something that you think about when you do videos, or do you try to keep those completely separate and after the fact?
What do you mean by branding?
So like working with brands, is that a part of your creative process, or is that something that you try to keep completely separate from the creative process? Is it something that you think about during the creative process?
I don't think about it until a brand is presented. Otherwise, I just think I need to make more content so brands are reminded I'm out here. Because if I don't make content, then maybe like someone who works at the agency forgot about me. Then I go viral again, then they think about me, and then
Tim Ferriss is here, like we were just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
content.
So I remind them I'm here.
Yeah.
But yeah, typically no. Because it just makes sense. For me, I'm like, I go into people's homes, every product in the world's in someone's home. So I'm like, it should be that seamless.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm curious if there's any other, like the creative and the content is going to be one of the most important levers from like a growth perspective, right? Like if you're able to hook people and it gets a lot of early engagement, then the algorithm's more likely to like push that hard. I'm curious what other, areas you've focused on that have translated into growth. Like I remember back in the day, there'd be like, if you had a fire video, and it didn't go viral the first time, you'd re-edit the intro, repost the video. Like nowadays, I mean, you've gone from random people on the street to Quavo and Jared Leto. So I mean, there's like the talent collaboration side too. Like, what are some of the other kind of different like growth levers that you try and pull in order to unlock growth?
Yeah, that's a really good question. One is just like for me specifically, it's like whenever I'm doing a home tour, if I can find like a really extravagant place that is just nutso, that always goes mega viral. Hard to find, goes mega viral. Like when I show off a super tiny apartment in New York, goes mega viral. Hard to find, but I know it'll go super viral. Or one of these collaborations. The reposting stuff, I don't really do much anymore, but I've noticed you can still do that and it'll still work. But I think for a growth lever, I think the main thing is to find your theme, whatever it is, and making sure that you hit on that theme for a year or two. So then people remember, like know exactly what they're getting when they see you. So I'll give 2 examples. There's this one dude, Callum, who's a model, and he kind of does like vlogs and stuff about modeling. But like every time his face pops up, I know exactly what I'm getting. It's not like, oh, he's randomly out here trying a bunch of different ideas. Like Haley Bailey, who's my friend, who's like, she does meme content. She makes fun of meme content. So she inserts herself into meme content. And you know that's what you're getting when you see her. So I think when you find that theme, that's when the real growth happens.
You probably got to start experimenting a little bit though to find it though. I would
totally. You have to experiment a lot. But that's like the key factor. It's like when I find the theme, I run that theme down and just like keep building out that theme world.
Right. Dope. You want to go to hot takes?
No. Got another question or two.
Go for it. Go for it, man.
That's sick. AI and automation. I mean, there's tons of different like tools out there, whether it's like Opus for cutting clips from longer form interviews or like Descript, or I mean, there's a couple other ones. Submagic, I think, is another popular tool for like cutting short form social content, really trying to make it a little more engaging with like jump cuts and whatnot. Obviously, like ChatGPT for trying to come up with different ideas. What are there any ways in which you are leveraging different tools or AI in order to like augment various parts of your operations and growth?
We know it's not your 60-second clips. We already know that.
I think I'm pretty dinosaur and archaic, which is crazy. Where I'm like at a point in my life where I'm like not using new stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just not. The only thing I use for AI is like AI generated captions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I don't even like correct the spelling. I just like let it go.
Some things never change, Caleb. No, I'm playing.
I'm like the worst speller, Sam knows. He'd be like, hey, bro, you misspelled spelling. Hey, bro, you misspelled your name. It's like C-A-L-E-B. Yeah. So I don't really use anything. I just drop in everything in Adobe Premiere Pro, and that's kind of it.
Nice.
It ain't broke.
Yeah, for sure. And what is the most viral video you've done, and how did that one come together?
What is the most viral video I've done? The most viral video I've done of recent that probably matters the most was this home tour of this guy who lives in like a witch house in LA. And I was in an Uber and I was just going past it. And I was like, whoa, what is this place? I stopped the Uber. I'm like, yo, stop the car. I swear. And I just like, wait right here. Hop out of the car.
You said, wait right here?
Yeah. And
I pulled into the witch house?
I go up to the house.
Yo, wait right here.
Yeah. And I
like calling the police and shit.
So it's a hit and run. Yeah. Well, that's pretty funny. And I was like, well, this house looks interesting. So I go like knock on the door. He's not there. I'm like, okay. I see his Instagram, grab it, and jump back in the car, hit him up. I'm like, hey. I went by. Then he's like, oh, come by tomorrow. Go by. That video did like 80 million views on TikTok. Actually, it's probably up more now. But it's really because I was just driving by. I saw it. I was like, let me go knock on the door. Let me see if this guy's around. And that's honestly, those experiences have been the most viral videos for me.
Yeah.
When I'm just like, it randomly happens. I'm like, let me go try.
Yeah. And I'm curious what's the not top 10 here. Because obviously whenever you got to shoot a lot of those shots to even get that video made. So I'm sure like 90% of, hey, how much do you pay for rent? What, like, who the fuck are you? Are there any like comical instances in which you've where you never posted the video, never got the video?
Yeah. Huh. Oh, shit.
The perfect reaction to that question.
No.
You can't say it.
No, I
He gonna
can.
say it.
I can.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. What's his name? Why am I drawing up?
Yo, he
blank on his
responded to
name?
his own memory by saying, oh, shit.
Yeah. Because this just happened recently. I feel terrible. I don't even know what happened. Joe Jonas, his team reaches out. I was like, let's go do a home tour where you surprise somebody with Joe Jonas. I'm like, sick. This will be fun. So we go to film the video. I kind of explained to him what's about to happen. I'm like, I'm going to stop her. You just come up behind her and then do one of these. And
you're talking to Joe Jonas.
yeah, I'm telling Joe Jonas the idea and then just be like, oh, we're going to go tour your home with Joe Jonas. So all that goes perfect. He walks up right at the right time, hits her on the shoulder. She freaks out, get it all on camera, 2 angles. I'm like, ooh, this is going to go viral. And they're kind of hitting it off. They're both, well, I think she had a boyfriend, but she's willing to leave. I'm pretty sure. And then we go do the home tour. It's like all fun and games through the home tour. It goes really well. I'm like, okay, that was fun. He leaves. She was like, that was such a fun experience. Then they reach out and they're like, okay, when are you going to post the video? And the footage is off my phone. No idea where it is. And I just feel it. And I'm like, I don't even know where it went. I don't even know. It just disappeared. It wasn't in the cloud or anything. So then I just have to write their team back and be like, I lost it.
Damn.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Damn, that is rough.
Yeah, totally. So that kind of sucked.
What could have happened in that situation?
I'm not really sure because it's never happened to me.
You checked your deleted.
Yeah, I checked everything.
DJ Khaled. They don't want us to win, bro.
They don't want us to win. They want us to fail.
Because I was out with somebody once and I was low key kind of drunk and making fun of someone else, and asked them to take a picture of me and my friends. And as retaliation, they took the pictures, but then deleted them immediately. So it was like, did anybody have your phone? That was like, yo.
You know what? My nephew had my phone at one point. So maybe he accidentally.
Yeah. I mean, how old's your nephew? That could have been a complete mistake.
He's 9.
He's
That
fired.
could have been a mistake. He's fired.
He's fired.
Yo, get my nephew up on the phone, bro.
Yeah, totally. And I just had major celebrities just tell me no to my face so many times.
Yeah.
Just laughing. They're like, who are you? Why are you even here right now?
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry. You know,
Not shooting those shots though.
Yeah.
That's the key, bro.
or the DMs. The DMs are funny. Like somebody will follow me, like a big celebrity, and then I'll be like, "Yo, can I get a home tour?" It's like seen, and then they unfollow me. I'm like, damn. It's like, fuck. Okay, well,
That's savage, bro.
Yeah.
Short-lived budding friendship. That come on too strong? Yeah, no. That's funny. Go ahead, Jordan. Tee up the hot takes.
All right. Do you know what hot takes are? We'll explain them for you. We'll explain them for the audience.
Explain though.
Yeah, so hot takes. We like to do this segment to just say some provocative shit at the end of every podcast episode. So it's gonna be stuff that may offend you. It could be stuff that you agree with, but it's supposed to challenge you in your way of thinking. So we've definitely had some hot takes where people were like, "I completely agree with that," and I was like, "Damn, that's not a good hot take. That's our fault."
Yeah.
So
Okay.
First hot take: creator-led brands are a bubble.
Creator-led brands are a bubble.
They're not gonna last.
Oh yeah. I probably agree with that.
See, you done fucked up. he said no. He said, bro, you kind of right.
Interesting. I mean, it's still interesting though, because I think that it's like there's so much investment. Every single celebrity is trying to come up with what is their brand. But at what point does it become like too much and OD?
I mean, everybody got tequila, right?
Yeah.
But still, people still launching new tequila. Like Lewis Hamilton launched the alcohol-free tequila.
Yeah, I think it maybe just like the bubble of it is that everyone says you need to launch a brand. Every creator is going to try to launch a brand, and only a few will make it out alive. And that's what I mean by I agree, because like a few will succeed for sure.
Yeah,
and like everyone's going to try, but
yeah. My thing in here too is like you might not necessarily see like. Rather than having a couple brands, like incumbent, old school, traditional legacy brands that like control an entire space, 5-10 years from now, you might see like 50 different brands that all have their own small slices of the pie.
true.
So I like that to me seems like a more feasible scenario. Like, is there going to be the next, I mean, obviously like Mr. Beast, Feastables, what everybody loves to talk about, but like, will Feastables be the next Hershey? Of all creators, he's probably the one to do it. But I think it's more likely that you're going to see like 10 different craft chocolate brands that are now eating into a big part of like the aggregate market share of like a Hershey's, and then take that across any sort of different like product sector.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Martha Stewart, I watched that doc, and like
top search doc on Netflix this week.
Totally. Like I didn't realize that she was like the first influencer and like built a $1 billion brand off her face. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that's gonna happen way more, and then fail, but then work, and then people come up like guardrails. Like it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Next one. Caleb Simpson is getting typecast as the apartment guy.
Definitely. 100%. I mean, come on. And I'm leaning into it heavy.
Let's go.
Heavy. Like, I'm just like, to have a typecast is a blessing. Like, that's all I got to say.
Yeah. No, there it is. Do you see it evolving past that? And at what point does that become a priority?
If it becomes a priority.
He's like, nah, I'm be 80 years old. How much your apartment cost, brother?
I think I've done actually a lot of research on this whole idea of a typecast with major celebrities and how they've felt about it. Like Jesse from Full House, like, have mercy. Yeah. And like his whole life, he was trying to get out of that and become something else. And then he's just like, you know what? Like, that was the biggest thing that ever happened to me, and that's cool. Like, I'm cool with it. So I think I will do other things with my life for sure, and maybe no one will know about it, and maybe I'll have something bigger, but I'm kind of cool with what's already happened.
Dope.
Working.
I got one. Maybe it'll get you. Virality can't be manufactured, and it's more luck than skill.
Oh, interesting. Virality cannot be manufactured. I disagree fully.
What's on your mind?
I mean, I think there's so many ways you can go.
Myself.
Yeah.
He's like, look at me. I'm on the podcast, partner.
Dude, I mean, all my friends who are like coders, they're like, you're an algorithm hacker, Caleb. Like, you do not create content. You hack the algorithm. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I've always done, in a way. But I mean, have you ever watched a sex tape, bro?
I ain't about to say shit, bro.
I mean, if you want to go viral, just have sex and put it online. That's all I'll say there.
I ain't never seen nothing like that. I don't know what you talking about.
I'm just saying, there's definitely ways where you can just do things and they'll probably go viral, like trauma dumping.
But that's like one end of the spectrum. You're saying there's a large spectrum to cater to. People just don't know everything in between that you can cater to.
Totally.
Awesome. Nice, man. Well, I guess last question here would be kind of knowing what you know now. What advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago?
He's like, don't work for Sam Heisel.
Yeah.
He's like, never do.
Yeah. Leave New York. Never try. I would give myself the piece of advice that it's probably best to know as much as you can about media and making things. Because early in my career, it was like, become the best photographer you can become. Like, be the number one photographer, or be the number one documentary filmmaker, or become an actor if that's what you want to become. But I learned a lot of these different skills, and then how the media world works now. It's like, if you know all that, you're winning. Yeah. So I'm like, just learn as much as you can about media in general and how to make things. Each part of the process. Yeah.
That was actually a takeaway that I had during the podcast. So I was like, you spent a lot of time experimenting and just getting yourself acquainted with systems and processes and algorithms before you even try to create a brand yourself.
Totally.
That's dope.
Awesome. Well, Caleb, thank you so much, man. Keep up all the good work. Absolute pleasure to have you on today.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, hopefully one day we can have a big enough apartment to be toured. Yeah, me and Sam.
I got a sauna in my backyard, bro.
Yeah, Sam's apartment's nice. I've been there.
Yeah. I have too.
Yeah, so speak for yourself,
nice.
Jordan.
Yeah. Sam started TikTok, just touring his own apartment.
Yeah. That was funny.
Dope. Thank you, man.
Shit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.